Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 29th day of January. A little bit over a week away from the Super Bowl here. Got Matt New Yorker. Hopefully, he's got my link and he'll be on here shortly. We'll talk about last week's games. Plus, uh, looks like it looks like the Eagles have their offensive coordinator here, and I want to make sure to get this guy's name right. The Packers quarterback coach Sean Mannon has taken the job as the offensive coordinator. I'll talk about that a little bit after the break. Uh, Robert Saleh was introduced today as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. They had their formal press conference here. I'll get the Mad New Yorker's thoughts about Brian DeBall being the offensive coordinator. And of course, you all heard my take yesterday on that. So stand by. We'll take our first and only break, and I'll be back here hopefully momentarily with the Mad New Yorker here on the Real Sports Scope.
Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Carlos made me think I was losing my mind telling him to send the link, and I'm checking at my phone because I do forget stuff. I'm like, geez, I know I sent it. Sent it at 4:01 Central Time, but there he is. He got it. Mad New Yorker.
Yeah, I am out. Thank you for having me, Robert. You did send it to me, man. It was my fault today. I'm the one who was losing my mind. Had a lot of things to do. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Hey, you know what? Let me ask you about this story that first broke here. I think this is a good hire, first of all. It's the Eagles offensive coordinator. This guy is a quarterback coach here for the Packers. His name is Sean Mannon. And just reading a few write-ups, so he's a rapid rise for him. He's been in coaching for only 2 years. He spent last season with the Packers as their quarterback coach. This is from Ari Morvo, this guy off the Exile piece. I want to say he worked for the 33rd team. And this guy was also a backup quarterback in the NFL. Very young guy. And I want to say he's 33 years old, hired by the Eagles today. He's a 9-year backup in the NFL. He was back up with the Rams, Seahawks, and the Vikings. One of these fast rising guys. Like I said, he's only 33 years old. Be 34 pretty soon because he's born the same year my niece is. So she just had her 34th birthday. I like it. I like the fact that the Eagles spread out their search beyond their own locker room and look throughout the league. Just because this guy's an assistant under Matt LaFleur doesn't mean he is, a LaFleur type of guy per se. He's only been, he's only been a coordinator there for 2 years. And hey, listen, we've seen guys like Mentor, the coach from the Ravens, be on that fast track. We saw Mike Vrabel be on the fast track. Players that are not necessarily like bad players, but backup quarterbacks, marginal players, they seem to make really good coaches, rather than like a superstar, because a superstar expects you to play like he can play. I'm not sure if Peyton Manning would be a great coach or a Roethlisberger or somebody. But I think I mentioned this before that McCown, he is the quarterback coach, I think, I want to say he's a quarterback coach with Minnesota, Luke McCown, if you remember him. He was a backup for like 18 years or something like that, you know? What do you think about the Eagles going outside of the locker room and bringing in the offensive coordinator? This is their third in 3 years, by the way.
First and foremost, like good on them for getting a guy who knows about playbooks, how to read playbooks, how
right, an actual quarterback in the league, yeah,
knows what it is to have to be studious. Maybe can help Hurts out a little bit as far as, you know. I don't think Hurts is a bad quarterback. I just think he needs stability, and someone who has like experience like that gives more confidence and stability to the QB. So it was a good hire, like, and I keep saying this, and it's not for nothing. You know, it's not that I don't like LaFleur, but he keeps losing coordinators left and right since he's been a coach, since he's been starting a coach there. And you know, I bag on him a lot for not being for being very what's that word?
Timid.
Very, not just timid, but very you know, the word's not coming to me. It's been a long day. But so for him to be the kind of coach that he is and not being so passive aggressive, that's the word I was looking for. This guy can't catch a break. I feel this is worse for the Packers than it is for, you know, because there's very little stability there in Packerland. They just got a defensive coordinator last year, and then he played this season. You know, he's been there this season and this past. They're talking about making him a coach. This coordinator's been there for 2 years. He's now went away and as the OC for the Eagles. So I mean, he can't catch a break. LaFleur can't catch a break, and you know, I guess it's I don't know if he's doing a great job getting these guys and him mentoring them and letting them, you know, do their thing and become better at their job. But you know, Packerland, man, you guys are. You gotta get a contract in there that says that a coach got to be there for at least 3 seasons. Come on, like LaFleur ain't had nobody there for more than 2 seasons, man. So
well,
it's like,
you know, that it says that people like his schemes and whatnot. My friend, who's a long time, she's a Milwaukee native, older lady, big Packer fan. She's okay with LaFleur. She thought that really, you know, what really hurt them this year was Micah Parsons going down because they traded, they made a trade for him. They gave up Clark, the defensive tackle. I think his name's Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle there. So they lost 2 players on the defensive side. But I told her, hey, listen, they're 3-6 with this guy, you know, and why isn't he stepping in and adjusting his playbook on the his play calls on the run, like the Rams did, who ultimately beat that Bear team. But they're pretty happy-go-lucky up there. It's a small town. It's the smallest town, and they like what they see. And I think he got an extension the other day anyway. So go figure. All's well as ends well for the Green Bay Packers. Today, the Titans announced Robert Saleh as the head coach here. And since the last time I talked to you, Brian DeBall, former New York Giant head coach, is being he's going to be named the offensive coordinator. I thought that was a home run hire. What's your thoughts about DeBall now, the former Giant coach, going to be working with Cam Ward and Robert Saleh here in Tennessee?
Yeah, I think that's a better fit for him. He's always been a better coordinator and assistant than he has been. His first go at the coaching job is a difficult situation anyways. Being in New York is not easy to be a head coach. And he did it. He tried it. Had a GM that had already a relationship with him there. It didn't work out. Now he's going and he joined Saleh there. I think it's a good fit because he can concentrate on just doing one thing, and that's offense, right? So I feel sometimes some of these guys want to be head coaches, and I know what it's like. You know, you don't want to be just one, one track mind. You want to be able to do a lot of things, but sometimes it's not a good fit for everybody. this also gives him an opportunity to show that he can bounce back and maybe even go back and try to do it again and become a head coach in another position. So, and what he brings to the table with his experience is going to help the quarterback room there in Tennessee. And if I'm Tennessee, I'm looking to grab another guy in the draft, a backup quarterback, because these guys, they're a dime a dozen, man. And if anybody can help that class with the wide receivers and the quarterback, it's a guy like Brian Daboll. I mean, I dogged him as a head coach, but understand, being a head coach is not being a coordinator and assistant, and if that's your thing and you were good at it, and that it gave you an opportunity to become a head coach and you weren't good at that, I can even take this to the next. I'm sure you're going to talk about Schwartz, right? Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator. He didn't really hack it as a coach. Cleveland chose
I didn't like Schwartz with when he was with Detroit.
Right.
Schwartz
But that defense
is a little bit of a guy with the big ego that's easily bruised. That's the way I describe him.
Yeah, but he's a good coordinator, man. He gets guys.
Good. Yeah,
he's a good motivator.
But he's pretty good at times.
Yeah, so now that he was at Cleveland, he thought he had the job as a head coach, and they went another way, and they got a guy that we talk about all the time in Monken, right?
Yeah, I will break that up, but let me ask you about Tennessee for a second. Now that we've got down here, you got Ward, and now you have Saleh, who had a really good press conference today. How do you see this team with, they've got they got the most money in the whole league in cap space. They got the 4th pick. I'm saying that they're a legit playoff team next year, not a Super Bowl team, but I think they're a legit playoff team next year if they have a decent draft and they have the decent free agency class. And they haven't even started free agent. They won't start that till about the 15th of March, whatever. Right. What's your thoughts about the outlook of the Titans coming into the 26th season, man?
I think they're going to be a smidge better. I'm not sure. I mean, with that record that they had this season, they have to be better. And I feel
3-14 or something like that.
Yeah, and that right there is it's an easier measure to move up from than, if you were in an 8 or 9 win team, and then you got a new coach, and all of a sudden you're back down to 3, 4, 5. So Saleh and Daboll they can't do anything wrong in the first season, right? They have a little bit of a room to grow, so they have plenty of funds there, the GMS funds to move and make moves, and it's good for the Tennessee Titans. Now, the worst part of this situation is that as they're trying to be on the come up, now they got to reach higher for Jacksonville. Now they got to reach higher to beat Indianapolis. Now they got to reach higher to beat Texans. Now
they're in a very tough division.
Yeah, the AFC South has now become the SEC, right? Like it's become the SEC of college football. So now you got
that last week. Yeah,
now you got to play catch up. And if there's 2 people that can do it though, it's guys like Saleh, it's guys like Daboll. They're gonna make your team competitive enough to where you're gonna play catch up. The biggest thing they're gonna have to do is like what you said. They're gonna have to pick up players at this draft, but not just the draft. Make moves. Are they gonna keep Simmons? He's a high contract player. Are they? He
made the All-Pro this year. So
yeah. So are they gonna move him? Are they gonna move him for draft picks?
I think Simmons is like 27, 28. I doubt they'll do.
Yeah,
that.
would you move Simmons for draft picks? So these are the things that Saleh's gonna have to look. Saleh could take 2nd, 3rd round, 4th round picks like he did in San Francisco and make them competitive. Now they didn't win anything in San Francisco, but that's not his fault. But that defense, he makes defenses a lot better than
they move Simmons. I mean, he'll be 29 in July. Yeah, I mean, if you move a guy like Simmons now, you could probably get multiple 1st-round picks because he's an All-Pro.
Yeah. So
some analysts, I'm talking about people that really study film, said he was one of the best defensive players in football this year.
Right. So do you make Simmons your your Reggie.
You keep him for 3 more years at a high,
That's what I'm
high
saying.
level.
Do you make him your Reggie? Is that your Reggie? That's the guy you build your
He'd be a
defense for?
Reggie White type of player,
Right? You know what I'm saying? So that's
You would have to offer me a lot for a defensive tackle playing at his level. You
Look,
know?
what I know and I recognize from Simmons is that he's always a part of he's always doing his part, and you want that in your culture. So now you're gonna have to pay him the big bucks, but now even if you're paying the big bucks, you got to surround him with some young guns because you don't want him to go all out. You want him to be part of the system. You don't want him to be the system. So I feel like Tennessee will get better offensively with this new offensive coordinator, and they're gonna be way better defensively with the coach who has who knows how to handle the newer offenses in the NFL, right?
Yeah, I don't know who would offer. I mean, you would have to offer a lot for him, maybe 2 or 3 picks, 4 picks. Robert,
if you're going to rebuild, this is the time to do it.
You know what? The fact that the way his contract is written, I was just looking at this. I wouldn't put it off the table.
Right.
I mean, as of early as 26, he's under contract through 27 with the out clause for the team in 26 or 27. This is according to Spot Track. $66 million guaranteed. They've got all the money to keep him, but if you wanted to really build up, I mean, it depends on how much they think of Devondre Sweat. Sweat was supposedly, that's the other tackle they got. He's on a rookie contract. It depends on what Saleh thinks of him. And this is something that will be answered between now and March, around the 12th of March or whatever, when free agency starts. It's not off the table if they actually trade him. If another team that's picking really high, like for example, a Cincinnati, I don't know if they could pay him, but a Cincinnati would probably give a lot for him because they need him so bad, and they got a quarterback that's ready to win now. And they've got a pretty high draft pick.
I could see teams like Arizona, like the Raiders, always looking to get like Raiders are about to lose their number 1 guy, they still
haven't hired a coach yet either.
Right. So
I don't know. Saleh, that may have been a selling point to keep Simmons for Saleh. I don't know. It's a good question. But that being said, do you want a rock star defensive guy to go with your quarterback that's on a rookie contract for 3 years and kind of look at it that way? There's 2 ways to look at keeping Simmons, That being said, I mean, who do you replace him with? You got to have a big-time defensive tackle. I don't know if there's a guy even close to him in this draft,
Yeah, no.
Edge rushers, but he's a tackle. He's an inside guy.
Right. And look, there's that kid who played very well from Wisconsin this past Senior Bowl.
TJ Watt.
No.
Oh, you talking about a rookie?
Yeah, I'm talking about the college game. This past 2 days ago, they played a football game.
The senior practice. The bowl's not until this weekend. The Senior Bowl?
There was a bowl game that they played.
The East-West Shrine game or something?
Yeah, the Shrine game. Yeah, it was a Shrine game. And that kid from Wisconsin was all over the place.
We'll see. I mean, replacing a guy like this, you better.
I mean, you don't have to. The thing is that you're not replacing him. You're filling out your position. Because what Saleh does is he don't replace defensive players. He fills out every position with whatever is out there, and then
he showed that this year with his coaching ability. And
then he schemes to whatever is on the field to what they go from there, which is what I like about him as a coach. Which what he did for the Jets, and once he left, you saw that defense fall apart.
Well, they were. I mentioned this the other day. They were number 3 overall when he was fired in 24. A lot of that was that coordinator there and Zach Wilson and everything. And, of course, Rodgers being hurt. But they were number 3 overall. Tennessee, that would be huge. Tennessee's got some players. Simmons would be one of the players. Now, Simmons will be 29 this year. So you got 29, 30, 31, 30. That's essentially 4 years. In the NFL, that's a lot of years. That's a Super Bowl window right there. Yeah. the fact they've got $100 million in cap room, I don't know if they maybe try to extend him perhaps and still make him a building block. But if you get the right package, guys like that are on. They would be for sale. Everybody's got a price, and I do know that a lot of teams were asking about him during the trade deadline. But I was proud of Tennessee not trading him because now you know what you're going to get exactly, and you could probably get a higher pick now that the season's over with. If you trade to a contender, they're going to be drafted much lower. You see what I'm saying? If you trade to somebody else that's up and coming, you know, you could get a higher pick. You know, for example, now the Rams, what if they gave those 2 first-round picks for Simmons and then a future pick? I don't think they would. But then again, they're in their Super Bowl window, right? They would have to give 2 picks and then maybe some more picks. I don't know. Simmons is so good. He's close to like a poor man's Aaron Donald, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I could see teams like Detroit, teams that barely made it this year. Like you said, the
they
Bengals.
can afford to pay Simmons, you know?
They got to structure that deal for him if you're a smaller cap team, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I would want about 4 picks, 2 first rounds, maybe a second, maybe a 4th added to that.
My man said, "Give me
a lot for a guy that's playing at his level.
Give me your left arm and 2 eyeballs."
Man, everything, dude. Okay, so you mentioned Cleveland. I thought Todd Monken was a very good hire. I thought he did a great job with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had career numbers with him. I look back at his numbers. He had 40 touchdowns in 2024. He won the MVP in 2023. You had injuries this year. You had defensive collapses this year. Some jerk on TikTok, when I met that clip out, said that he hadn't spoke to Lamar in months. I haven't read that. That's probably some bum, or it could be Lamar Jackson's burner account. I don't know. But I thought that Todd Monken, he did well with Stetson Bennett in college. He's 59. He's well seasoned. It's his first job. It did tick off Schwartz. I would have taken him over Schwartz. We know what Schwartz did. I think there's plenty of good. By the way, what's up with your guy Wink Martindale? Why wouldn't you hire him if you're a team like a Buffalo Bills or a Cleveland Browns, for example? Either way, I think this guy could work out with Shedeur Sanders. He'll get everything out of Shedeur. I don't know if Shedor's going to be a star. I don't know how good Shedeur could be, but I think that Shedeur will have opportunity to have a potential career year, a breakout year. What do you think about that hire, man, in Cleveland? A little bit of a shocker there because I thought they were going to go super young, coach.
Yeah, no, listen, he's made a mark everywhere he's been and in every job he's had.
Me too, yeah.
He's an offensive mind that doesn't get enough credit. I think that with what he did with the Ravens is so much better than what the other coordinator did with this.
Yeah.
So
who ended up getting fired with the Chargers this year.
Right. So it's he's paid his due and it's his turn. And it's good for Cleveland. They don't probably know it yet, but this is what this is going to do too is solidify you got your first your starting quarterback is going to be Shedeur. He's going to work with him. Your backup's going to be Dillon. You still have to get rid of Watson because you don't want to pay him to be a backup.
Right.
So, and then they'll probably still draft another quarterback. And don't be upset about that. All they got to do now
they have 2 first-round picks this year, which is interesting. And you know what? They've got a lot of players. There's a guy named Hannon. He was a tight end. He had a breakout year for a rookie. Yeah, he had some of those draft picks. Dylan Sampson, former Ball, was pretty good there. Mason Graham, the former Michigan Wolverine guy.
They're not a dumpster fire. They had made too many bad decisions last season to start the season. That's what happened. So when you go through something like that, you still have a competitive team. And this is the best thing about this hire is that you're getting a guy that requires your football team to score more. So this is going to force your defense to actually play a little bit tighter now because you're making points. Don't give up points, right? And so now you got a guy who's every offense he's ever had scores an average of 20 points plus, and that's good because you want to see scoring anyways. So there's upside to the signing more than there is downside, and the downsizing has to happen with the roster. There has to be. You have to clear out Watson. You have to clear out some of these defensive players.
I got one more year left for Watson.
Yeah,
one more year of that nightmare.
Yeah, so you have to. These are things that I think Monken is kind of used to, anyways, with the Ravens having the volatility in the roster that they made some moves here and there. So, but listen, Cleveland has the opportunity of winning 8+ games this year because Pittsburgh is going to go through a rebuild, right? You have that the whole division is kind of like shaky. You have the Ravens. They got to go through. They're not going through a rebuild, but they're looking now to play catch up, right? They're not going to be the same team they were last year. Then you have your Pittsburgh. One more team. Who am I missing?
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about McCarthy. I mean, Cincinnati's got their issues.
Yeah, Cincinnati. There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. Like you have Cleveland. You have an opportunity to come in, making a playoff position in the first year of this coach's season. Think about that. Yeah. And it's not going to be because you have a good defense. It's going to be because your team can score 20+.
Yeah. Did I ask you your take on McCarthy going back to Pittsburgh?
No, but listen, that's one of those hires that you don't know what you're going to get. No, and I'm going to tell you this because there's no balance on that team. You have the aging defense, and then you have a mediocre offense. Because now you don't know if your QB's not coming back, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
You don't know if he's coming back. Let's just go with the fact that he's not coming back so that you can look forward. And if he does come back, you're already set up, right? So, and he's an offensive guru, right? Is he gonna?
I like McCarthy. He was almost crying at the press conference. I mean, his heart and soul is in the Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh native.
Yeah, but did they get McCarthy to get Rodgers? Was that the move?
Yeah, you know what? He said he would be okay if Rodgers came back. I think Rodgers might come back for another year, and they draft a guy. I would love to see him get a guy like Ty Simpson and sit under Rodgers for a year and let him learn under Rodgers. I think Rodgers is at a better place in his life than he was with the Jordan Love issue back in Green Bay.
Every time people say that, I laugh because Rodgers ain't teaching nobody, man. He's just going out there and playing. He'll play with you. He ain't going to teach you.
McCarthy's job is to teach, and McCarthy went through this years ago with Rodgers and Brett Favre. So I think it'll work out. And plus, remember, this is the most patient organization in all this. They're not going to fire you. They let you stay there 6 or 7 years too long.
Yeah. Look, I'm not sure if they'll be in the playoffs. It all depends on what that GM does to that defense. That's bottom line.
I do not like the fact that they hired the Raiders defensive coordinator, which they got torched last year. I'm a little down on Pittsburgh for that. That's something I would love to talk to my man Ralph Williams about. That happened today. I'm still scratching my head on them hiring the Raiders defensive coordinator. Other than that, I do like McCarthy. I think it's a good hire, man. And even if it's just for 6 or 7 years or 10 years, then he'd be 73, which 73, there's a lot of guys in their 70s coaching now.
Right.
That's the most supportive organization. You can see they really just need to shed off money off their defense and go through a quarterback. They've got some pieces on the offensive line, Firebuth. It's not a total rebuild if you ask me.
No. Their defense has the two cornerbacks that are young.
They got some young guys. Joey Porter Jr. is still pretty young.
Yeah, and then they also, they got one guy in the line that's pretty good. There's just
Alonzo Smith or whatever his name is.
Yeah, they just gotta make it a little younger, a little quicker. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a little faster, and that's it. It's not a bad move for Pittsburgh, but what do you? I feel like he might get one Super Bowl appearance, maybe in 10 years, even if he goes 7 to 10 years.
He may win one. You
He
never know.
no, I'm not saying win, but he'll be at least in one Super Bowl in the next
on how they get their quarterback situated. I like the fact Ben Roethlisberger said he's excited the fact that they went with the offensive-minded head coach. They've had 2 defensive guys in a row for a very long time between Bill Cowher and, of course, Mike Tomlin.
Is Ben Roethlisberger going to play?
No, but he's just saying he likes the philosophy.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if there's any change that happens,
the Bears, they went defensive forever, and then they went off. Look what they did this year,
Yeah, when you try to copy what's going on in the league, it doesn't always going to bring you success. So, like, I guess just be excited at something different, and let's just hope that the GM and the team puts the time and the money to help this coach be successful. That's all it takes at the end of the year.
Yeah. I just think that it's there's a little bit of ageism there. I mean, just because the guy's 60 something doesn't mean he's dead. I think he's going to work his butt off. I think it's fine. We'll see. I like the hire. Others don't. They want some young hotshot guru guy. Maybe he can move a guy in and groove him. Like Ralph said, they haven't hired that guy yet. It's not going to be that Raiders defensive coordinator. I know that. But the Steelers, they always find a way to make it work.
They're not hurting.
Their last 3 coaches they won Super Bowl with.
Yeah, they're not hurting for making coaching moves. They hurt for signing guys that are past their prime and
they're big with that. Yeah. But I think they'll be fine. Now they did go with the super young kid he's 36. Joe Brady. The Bills hire their offensive coordinator. I'm not totally down on this. It was an in-house hire. A lot of times the in-house hire turns out to be a disaster. Sometimes it works. It's worked twice in college. In the NFL, yes, this is the guy that's worked with Allen, but it's just like I said with Robert Saleh. Who's he going to put around him? Is he going to get a veteran defensive coordinator around? Wink Martindale, that would be my guy. I would get him on the phone. He's not working with Michigan anymore. He's a hired gun. Bring in somebody like that, just like young Sean McVay was like 31 when he took over with the Rams back in like 2016 or something like that. And he hired Wade Phillips, who was like 67, 69 years old, something like that. And they got to the Super Bowl in 2018 with that defense.
Wait, listen.
But we'll see what happens. If he goes young, it could be a disaster. But he does have Josh Allen. What's your thoughts about that hire there? Joe Brady for the Buffalo Bills.
The honeymoon keeps going, right? This is a guy that when he got hired was excited about working with Allen, and made Allen run the ball more, which I'm surprised that was.
They're a very good running team. Yeah.
That was a stat. I mean, but I don't feel like Allen should be running more than he did this.
Oh, you mean Allen? But no, the Cook was a good runner too. They led the team in rushing. So that led the league in rushing yards.
Yeah, but I saw the run attempts when he had Dorsey. Then they had the other guy. What's his name? And then they had Brady.
Well, they had James. Oh, you mean the offensive coordinators?
Yeah.
Oh,
so you saw that his running went skyrocket with Brady. I guess to let him have fun this year, but I wouldn't keep letting him run anymore. He's coming off of that surgery for that injured metatarsal that he got. Allen, right?
Yeah, he's on crutches at the press conference today.
So I think that's a big old indicator that hey, you got to kind of be careful. Yeah,
What you think about the hire, man?
I think that I think it's an okay. It's Buffalo, man. I'm not again.
They just don't take a lot of chances in Buffalo.
They're the Pittsburgh Steelers of the AFC East, man. They they try to save
minus the 6 rings that the Steelers got.
Right, opposite, right there. Like,
Yeah.
just the way they do business, and like I guess it's okay that they in-house hired. I think that's a more comfortable, better feeling for Allen at the end of the day. But I'm not sure how that locker is going to feel in 2 years when everybody's like, "Well, you got your quarterback. Why is this defense still junk?" Or why is this defense not improving? Everybody talks about Allen, but at the end of the day, it's the whole team, and I just hope they can move forward, and they got this guy, and that he does things to make the whole team better, not just because you have Superman on your team, you're gonna just run the cape. So I guess they did well to save money and get a guy
out there. Maybe they can get him to help stop the run, but I'm not a huge Schwartz guy, but I'm just saying there's some guys out there. Wink Martindale. I don't know why anybody don't call Rex Ryan. He's always on TV. He probably don't really want to go back to coach. I think he just talks a big game, but he'd be a good coordinator for somebody.
Wink's been mentioned that he's been mentioned a few phone calls they made from the Jets.
Yeah, your Jets reached out to everybody. John Gruden.
I don't know.
Aaron Glenn, and I was talking about on my show yesterday that what teams you want the Jets to have. If you're a Titans fan, you want them to have some modest success where if they do fire Glenn next year, that you don't have the number 1 pick because you don't want an Archie Manning coming out, being all world, and the Jets have potentially to get an Arch Manning next year in 27 draft, and the Titans could potentially lose Brian DeBall after 1 year to your Jets. So Aaron Glenn is overturning every single rock he fired as offensive coordinator. Part of me now that the fact that he has fired so many people, I actually pulled it for Aaron Glenn now. Because he's realizing, hey, we can't keep doing this. He fired his defensive coordinator. Kudos to Glenn realizing that what you're doing last year, none of that worked. You couldn't get an interception. No team since 50 years that never got an interception in the whole season. You're the defensive guy. Yeah, get rid of your defensive coordinator. You got to get a quarterback. It's not going to be Justin Fields, for crying out loud. You got to do something about that. You got to fix your defense. You got a boatload of picks. Good luck with that. I don't think it's going to happen, but if you're a Titans fan or one of these other teams that don't want to lose your coordinator at the 1 year, you hope that Glenn has a good year. What's your thoughts about them?
Listen, these guys are going like it's like one of those old phone books for AT&T phone books, from New York that look like a freaking. They're like
those things are heavy too, man.
10 million pages, man. I don't know if you remember those phone books, man. And Yellow Pages, man. You're just going through it like a Rolodex, man. Just hoping that somebody's going, answer the call at the other end. And listen. At the end of the day, it's the New York Jets. You can only go. The bar is so low right now. You can only go higher. Yeah. So he's gonna.
The bar's like on the ground, man.
Yeah,
I actually tripped over the bar the other day. It's so low.
Yo, it's so low that it snowed and it snowed over the bar here in New York. So, like at the end of the day, you have the opportunity to do something better for this coming season. Just keep your eyes open, your ears, swivel your head, keep your ears out to see what's going on and what's coming around. And I'm not sure though, like with this GM, what I'm trying to be positive. He's young, I don't know what it's the problem is that he's trying to sell a franchise that does have very little history in winning. And that's a hard sell. And especially where the flip side is the media's tough. Money can be spent so easy in New York that even players coming out of New York are broke. You hear those stories of players coming out of New York that are busted broke because they got married. They got married in New York, or they had a child in New York, and now they got to pay child support and wife support. They can't get divorced. Like all that stuff. That so that happens in New York, and so that's the flip side. That's the stuff that people don't talk about. So it's good. This is a tough sell. You would think that the Jets were the Buffalo Bills because it's hard to get people to play in Buffalo. New York, it's gonna be tough. But if anybody can create a culture, can try to get winning going, Aaron Glenn has a lot of the right.
Well, you could tell his heart's in it.
Yeah, there you go.
He's just wanted a paycheck. I don't think he'd done anything.
Right. He got the right mojo, man.
We're going to get fired next year, but at least I got my money's guaranteed. It's locked in ink and in contract.
He got the right mindset. The biggest problem the Jets have right now, the biggest problem that they have is the instability of the ownership and him just making wild, rash decisions above football. Like, I feel like he should just let his GM and let Aaron Glenn run the football operations. Just let them.
Yeah, you wish he would step back for 4 or 5 years and just chill.
Yeah, he needs to relax.
Work on a project or something.
Because the problem right now, everybody's watching the Super Bowl and they're seeing the number 1 draft pick from a few years ago, and they're like, "That was our quarterback," and it's like, yeah, but I had never talked.
I'll get to that in a minute. But something. Speaking of your Eli Manning did not get into the Hall of Fame first ballot. I said the day he retired, and we might have talked about this, that he is not a first ballot guy. He didn't have gaudy stats like a Tom Brady, like a Peyton Manning. But the fact that he did win those 2 Super Bowls, you cannot tell the story without during Eli Manning's era, without his name. So I think he is a Hall of Famer. He's just not a first ballot. What's your thoughts about him being left off the Hall of Fame, Eli Manning?
I feel like him and Belichick are on the same ferry coming out of New York trying to get into the Hall of Fame. Listen, both of these guys are tarnished in one way or another. They talk about Eli's in between years
But this Eli, was he a first ballot in your eyes?
Well, I feel like the only reason he would deserve a first ballot, and I'm not trying to be a fanboy here, is the fact that he's the first quarterback who did like the Cal Ripken and played,
all those consecutive games,
13 seasons or something in a row.
Yeah.
And consecutive games. So that's something that no quarterback has done. So I
don't know if he's got that record, but it's up there, isn't it? Most consecutive starts. I thought Favre had that record.
I think he beat out Favre, didn't he?
I don't know. We're about to look it up.
You look it up.
Consecutive SECTIVE.
But if anybody deserved it to be it'd be for that reason in the 2 Super Bowls. But like you say, he
holds the record, both consecutive 297. Rivers and Eli Manning. Okay, Rivers is second with 240. Some say he might be. Rivers came back this year, so it kind of screws his up. He's gonna have to wait 5 more years.
Okay, so that's a good question.
210. 2004 to 2017. So that's really good, though.
Yeah, but here, question: is Phillip Rivers a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Shoot, no.
Okay.
Man, he didn't even get to the. I mean, he's been in the playoffs a few times. He's pretty consistent. Some people say his numbers will get him in.
Yeah,
but he's not a first ballot. I thought do you think Eli's a first ballot?
Again,
he's a Hall of Famer.
Eli's a Hall of Famer for sure.
Oh, okay.
First ballot, if he were to get first ballot, it'd be because of the consecutive games that he played. Other than that, he had terrible seasons, man. He wasn't no damn
playing Tom Coughlin's offense or lack thereof it.
Right.
For his non-gaudy seasons. Can you put some of the blame there on him not being a first ballot guy?
On Tom Coughlin?
Yeah, Coughlin has run the ball, stopped the run. He's very like a Marty Schottenheimer, just super conservative coach.
I would say this. If he wasn't there as a coach, the Giants would have never had the 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, he was a disciplinarian.
So,
but he didn't have
hard to say that
he wasn't a Bill Walsh type of Mike Shanahan type of coach where you got a great flashy Sean McVay,
I think one of the biggest issues for Eli was the fact that they depended on the run and they didn't allow him to throw as much as he should have thrown in some games. And there's some games that they lost. It wasn't really by much field goal or a safety here and there. Like there was a lot of games that that they could have won. but the team was never scoring more than what 17 points a game or so.
Right.
Seasons
a lot of them games.
Yeah,
14. I think that was the Super Bowl score.
Yeah,
against
that was
the Patriots that year.
Yeah, that was a couple years that that was their average of 17 points. So, but they had games where they had like wide receivers have a ton of yards, man. So I guess I don't think it's his fault. I don't think it's Kaufman's fault much more than it is Eli. But again, if you're the starting quarterback of the New York Giants, you got to be able to win games. And there's some games that he wasn't able to win. And then it's a combination of the coaching and a combination of the team that they had, that how they built the team. So
yeah, I doubt Eli Manning really cares. Do you think he cares? He comes off as such a nonchalant guy. I think Peyton Manning would care. I
think more New Yorkers, media, and fans and fanboys are upset that he's not first ballot than Eli himself. I think Eli was like, I'm gonna make the Hall of Fame no matter what. I'm already in the Hall of Fame as a Super Bowl winner anyways, so you can't take that away.
Right.
But I know there's a distinguished feeling to be first ballot. But
right.
I mean, what do you not everybody was gonna get that distinction, So
you got to be Galdi. I mean, Brady, Montana, Breeze, because Breeze had a lot of passing records, are very close. You have to be at the absolute apex to be a first ballot. It's stuff about Bill Belichick. I said this yesterday. It's a combination of being short with the reporters. Hey, some of them took it. Some of them, I think, took it a little too serious, the way he brushed them off, and the fact that he had the 2 cheating scandals, not 1, but 2 cheating scandals. Really hurt him. And then, I heard something today, listening to some other sports talk shows, that maybe everybody thought because he is Bill Belichick that maybe some of the writers said, you know what? Somebody else will vote Belichick in. I'm going to vote Roger Craig in, who's been off of it forever. Roger, God knows when he retired, right? That's going back to the 80s 49ers. So I think a few writers may have thought we accidentally left Belichick off by accident because we thought what the other guys were going to vote for him anyways. And then he ends up getting a raw end of the stick. The guy's 73, 74 years old.
Yeah,
what's your take on that? Do you think he should have been left off the first ballot because of the scandals?
These whole things that are being talked about in the press and everything, at the end, they're the ones who are voting. I think they're just very, very conniving and very, very, ridiculous with the situation and the notion. I would say this: he did his stint with the 2 cheating scandals. But you talk about a coach who's won as an assistant. You talk about a coach who's won as a coordinator, and then you talk a coach who's won Super Bowl as a coach. This guy don't just have coach rings. He's done it in every level.
Yeah.
So you disrespecting the dude because he disrespected you and he didn't answer your question. He said on to New Orleans, on to whatever.
Some of that really did play a part in it.
And so to me, at the end of the day, I'm sure he wanted that distinction. And I don't know of any person who's competitive and wins awards or plays, puts a life out something to get the whole life a distinction, honor like that, and be like, no, I'm okay. That's all right that it doesn't happen. No, it'll bug you. But at the end of the day, he's going to get into Hall of Fame anyway.
The biggest next year.
And another issue,
like Jimmy Johnson said on Colin Cowherd, we hope he don't die. And
listen,
we didn't say it like that, but he said the fact is you could get in after your first year instead of your 5th year versus a player because coaches are much older.
The bigger issue is that they changed the voting once over, and that has hurt the way that the voting goes for those who haven't been picked, and they're trying to bring in players back like Roger Craig and like that whole section of voting. All that is
it's 1 year for coaches out of the league versus 5 for a player.
Right. And then it's all that the way they change it also affects people because there's people who were voted, who forgot about that change, who didn't vote for Belichick, and like you said, voted for Roger Craig to get in.
Want to redo to put Belichick in, man. You know,
right? No. To me, he's going to be in no matter what, distinction or not. But here's another issue, though. If you're an older writer or you're older part of the media and you don't realize how you're voting, what you're voting, you don't need to be voting. I mean, you know that then they got to cycle people off.
Right.
After 55, you cycle
what I've mentioned, I think that's an idiotic way to look. Well, I'm gonna vote this guy in because he ain't. No, just vote who you think is the best eligible to go in that year. And if it's Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. And even Jimmy Johnson also said, "Hey, listen, we tried some Spygate stuff ourselves. It didn't work for us." He said everybody did it before we had electronic devices where we could just speak into the helmet. So he talked about one of the assistants that worked with Tony Dungy, who used to do the Bud Black or whatever his name is. Used to do that. Everybody used to do it, and it's forced to deflate the footballs. They won Super Bowls after that the scandal came about, you know. So go figure. Anyways, got to get your thoughts on last week's games. Denver. Should Denver had went for it on that fourth down? We cost them. I'm not mad at. I mean, I'm mad at the call, but I'm not really mad at Sean Payton for wanting to go for it there. I don't think he knew there was going to be a blizzard in the second half. What's your thoughts about that game and that call, man?
The game was total poo-poo. First of all,
Sean Payton after the storm came in.
Yeah. Sean Payton. You could tell, man. You could tell that he's going to be regretting the way the season ended.
Yeah.
And I'm not. It's not the
his offensive coordinator too. Didn't you rehear that?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not just the decisions that were made that didn't help the Broncos. They were already handicapped with Stidham playing as a quarterback. Yeah. So I don't understand where the logic, because now it's illogical to do things that people looking at the stats, right? Like Stidham's your quarterback. Are you going to go for 2? Probably not. Just kick it.
Right? So you probably would have kicked it because it was Stidham.
Yeah, and look, at that point, where the Broncos are playing, they're going to run the ball, right? But that Patriots defense was on fire the first and second quarter. They still had a lot of energy. So even if he would have made the call to run the ball, they wasn't going to go anywhere. The second call he made, where they were pushing the ball down the field in the bad weather, the guy had one good.
A lot in the bad weather.
Yeah, the guy had one good thing on his team that was going to keep him in the game, and that was the kicking game. And he only used it twice. He could have used it 4 times. So, I kick the ball and I make my defense, who's just as competitive as the
They're
Patriots.
beating up on the Patriots offensive line like nobody's business. Yeah,
I would have had them take care of it, and then you might have had a tied game going into overtime because the weather wasn't allowing you to do anything. The handicap not having Nix is one thing, but the weather would have affected Bo Nix as well. Drake May did. So people talking all this crap. Drake May didn't do anything in that weather. Yeah. Drake May didn't. Look at his stats. He had maybe 80 yards and throwing.
Yeah, the defense for Denver, I'm surprised May didn't have a big turnover. Well, and so, Robert Griffin of all people, he brought this up, and the funny you brought that up. A lot of people have been down on Drake May in these playoffs, but Griffin he said something interesting. He said, "Listen," he put out this stat here the other day that these guys, Drake May's been to some of the best defenses in the league to get to the Super Bowl. You look at that. I hope I didn't erase it because it was a very good stat. Houston's defense was number 1.
Yep.
The Chargers was top 5.
Yep.
These guys are up there. Here we go. Chargers number 5 in the NFL. Texans number 1. The Broncos are number 2. And now he's got to go play against. He's not going to be overwhelmed by Seattle's defense.
I don't think he knows anything about Seattle's defense, because Seattle's defense is different than the
quicker on the back end.
Not only are they quicker. Here's the thing: their actual secondary hits hard.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're good. So Seattle's going to be, I think, a challenge for him. I thought, and I said to you that game, even with Knicks not playing, that defense was maybe going to score 7 to 10 points. Remember I said that?
Yeah.
And they almost did. Yeah. They didn't, but the weather didn't help. The weather helped the Patriots more than it helped.
These slight snow flurries that you can hardly see. They didn't know it was going to be a downfall like that.
And then they were wearing white.
Off guard.
And I was watching the TV. I felt like I was watching Nintendo, like Tecmo Bowl, because it's just because all you see is orange and you didn't see the white of the Patriots.
Yeah. They should have cleaned the field up better. I thought it was a good game. I'm proud of the Patriots. I actually hope they win the Super Bowl just to stick it to Amy Adams Strunk. There's a lot of people really down and saying they got lucky and all that. Hey, man, they had a very good defense. Drake May is a borderline MVP. They didn't set the world on fire offensively. They didn't need to. They won every road game this year.
Yeah, man.
That's saying a lot, man.
No, I'm not. I can't complain.
Every road game the Patriots.
I'm not on that. I wasn't never on that Patriots boat because I'm not a big believer in Drake May. I thought that it would take him some time. But the kid, he's done what he's had to do. He did the same thing that Bo Nix at the fourth. And when the game was in,
your guy like Bo Nix,
like when the game's at the end and you need somebody to do something, put the ball in his hands, and he's going to make the right decisions. Now that doesn't mean he's going to score, on every decision he makes.
67 yards.
Yeah, he ran the ball.
Adjustment by him and Josh McDaniels saying, "Listen, we can't beat these guys on the edges. You're going to have to take it up the middle, throw it up the middle, because they are killing us. They're killing us on the edge." That Will Campbell, it was a big knock on him. He had too short arms to be a left tackle in the NFL. He had a great year, but those short arms really caught up with him in that game. Luckily, they didn't turn the ball over for a touchdown. Like you said, they could potentially have that. Benito's off the hook, the edge rusher there for the Denver Broncos. Now, this next game, man, I thought the Rams played great. It was that one turnover, man, that cost them that one drop punt there, really turned this game around. What's your thoughts, though, on them going forward and missing on the fourth down? My thing is, they felt like they couldn't get a stop on Seattle.
Right.
I'm okay with Sean McVay going for that, but some people say maybe you kick the field goal because they did get a stop the possession before that. But overall, you just get a sense that Seattle was just doing too much, man. He didn't trust his secondary. I was okay with it. What's your thoughts about that game, man?
Yeah, I think that both McVay and Stafford thought
Stafford, yeah,
thought that play was going to be their one and done, right? And it wasn't, and it so happened that defense was a lot better than they thought it was going to do and be what it was. I keep telling you, these guys, they forget it. As soon as something bad happens, they forget about it. They move on. They're fast. They're young. The Seattle defense is legit. And I kept saying on the show, nobody wants to play that game, that team next. Nobody wants to, because they're gonna come at you and they don't care, man. They're like a bunch of wild dogs, man. And it's good to see them fly all over the place. It was fun to see Stafford on the ground a little bit. It was fun to see Puka get hit a couple times, and not make a catch.
Yeah. Now, was Puka mauled? I thought the refs went a little too far with letting them play a lot of arm barring in that game. A lot of holding past the line of scrimmage.
It felt like 90s football, like 80s football, 90s football. and I'm like, where is it?
They went too far, I thought.
At both games, the refs
looked like a 1990s Knicks game.
Yeah, at both games, the refs were not throwing the flags much. A bunch of calls that were just kind of crazy. That forward pass, remember that forward pass for the Broncos game?
Yeah.
It got tipped So it was still a forward pass, but it went backwards. All that just a bunch of it was a mess. But the Seahawks played it out. Kudos to the Rams. They did a good job. Keep trying to stay.
I thought they had a shot to win it there at the end.
But they were the whole game. They was playing from behind, energy wise, or they was trying to catch up with Seattle energy. They should have just played their own game.
Yeah. And Darnold, I don't think he made a mistake the whole game. He played great, man.
And you got to give it credit. Get credit where credit's due. Like I didn't like him in the Jets. He did great. He did good for the Vikings, and now he's done better for the Seattle Seahawks. And it's what it is. And
he's earned it, and I'm proud of that guy. He's a motivational story there.
No, it's what, Robert. It's not motivational. It's like the kid was
in there. I wrote him off several times.
Yeah, no, but the kid was always projected to do well, to be a good quarterback. He never came out of college like, he maybe, I don't know. No, he was always projected to do good. And to me, as a football fan, as somebody who watch football, I'm happy for him because he's meeting his potential and going above it. And that's the most important thing for any quarterback that gets drafted from first round to third round. Like just try to get better from year after year after year. And the kid's done it. So good for him. Kudos for him. Like it's not that he ain't like
he went through a lot and he's 28 now.
Right.
He went to the Jets at 21 and Adam Gase was trying to put that Peyton Manning system of probably too much for a guy that young. And
but he's smart. He's smart, and he's been able to learn from.
Yeah, he's learned from his mistakes, and he's grown.
And he's learned football. He went to learn from the 49ers. He played on the Panthers. He went to Minnesota. So he had traveled a little bit, and everybody was like, and every little bit he grown a little bit, even a beard. Now he don't got no little peach fuzz. Now he got a good beard going. So he's manned up. He's becoming a man, and good for him. But I mean, like he made it, and he deserved to be where he's at because he's learned how to be a better professional and quarterback. So
he's persevered. Anything else you need to plug?
Right now I'm just trying to get caught up. And then this year's coming with the Flash and also with snow over here in New York. We got snow.
How much snow do you guys get?
Almost. Well, here in the city we got 1.5 feet, and
really.
We got
we got a lot of ice here, man. A lot of power outages. Mine went out for 3 hours the other day.
We got all that stuff. Even like the second day after it snowed, we was over there sledding in the park and stuff. So we had a little bit of fun, but it's cold, it's windy. It's supposed to be 20 degrees, but it feels like it's 5 degrees. I don't like that.
I know. I was in Miami. It's even cool down there.
I know. I heard Jacksonville had like 30 degrees before the storm came. Oof.
They said Miami, the low maybe 32 one day this week. So, but it'll get back up pretty quickly there. All right, Mad New Yorker. I'll see you next week. We'll give Super Bowl predictions.
Let's do it.
I'm sure there'll be plenty more stories to jump into. Mad New Yorker. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, everybody. I will see you next. Possibly, well, I'll probably give you an update on Monday, and of course, go live Wednesday. Hopefully, I'll have Rich Ferris back in. We'll break down this Titan situation with Salif and everything. So, have a good night, everybody. I'll see you same time, same place here on the Real Sports Scope.